And then the highest sale this week, just this week, they definitely have sales that are much higher than this. But the highest sale was a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 3,300 square foot house, and it closed escrow at $1,614,000. It actually sold right away. It closed in like 12 days. It sold over its asking, and effectively what it was like like an original mid-century house, and it was taken down to the studs and rebuilt. And so totally great place. Had a beautiful pool in it. It had terraces. It had views out to the hills. And so I thought that's a really good price for that much square footage, and in a great neighborhood with all the different amenities come. So La Mesa is definitely an opportunity for people that are considering it, want a big family home. And so one of the things I thought I would tell you is a little bit about La Mesa, and I want to kind of do that moving forward, because we've been talking about these little neighborhoods, and I realized that I'm coming from this is what I do every day type of thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe people don't know a little bit about these neighborhoods. They might just recognize the name or something.
Well, and I think that's a good idea, because like you can see, even with me, when I grew up in La Mesa, Lemon Avenue was one of the big streets, and you go up to Mount Helix. And even when I was a kid, there was some big developments going on, around like Lake Helix. The Lake Helix development came in when I was a little kid, and now that's an old development. But I just remember, what La Mesa was like. And I was stuck to Mount Helix, La Mesa, and not spread out into the town. But I know La Mesa. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about the area. Like, what is it like out in La Mesa? What do people get? What's their amenities and stuff?
2 minutes.
Well, let's start with what you just said. You said Lake Helix, and I can tell you that if you go out and ask, 100 San Diegans, hey, where's Lake Helix? They're probably going to say Lake Helix. I've never even heard of that. It'll probably be 99.9999 people. So let's talk about Lake Helix. That's a cool, awesome, development in there, and the lake was created inside. It's inside effectively Mount Helix area. Mm-hmm. It's through the foothills area. It is surrounded. It's a private community in there. It's gate accessed, and you can literally be living on a lake, small lake. It's a recreational lake for them, but in the middle of the city. It's sort of like being in East Lake even, but it's pretty cool to have it right there. And a lot of people don't realize that La Mesa, it's more than 100 years old.
1 minute.
The original city started as unincorporated back in the 1800s, mm-hmm. but it became a city in its own right, like the city of San Diego, like the city of Coronado back in 1912. Mm-hmm. So La Mesa is awesome. Some other things that if you live in different parts of San Diego, sometimes people think, wow, La Mesa is so far east. Well, the reality is La Mesa is only 10 miles from the ocean, in a car, 10 minutes.
Yeah, La Mesa it's true. And La Mesa, I mean, you get there, you have 8 and then 125, you can go 94 to 125, the little 125 connector right across there. Yeah. So I'm going to have to stop for a second. We're listening to Ken Pecus. We're here on the Word on Wealth, and today is our Real Estate Wednesday. We're really glad to have Ken with us he's my partner today on this show. So this is his talk show. It's 619-977-8419. And we come back, we're going to open the lines for Ken Pecus here on the Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is Faith-Based Investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christians just don't understand that the money they save for retirement usually helps fund the abortion industry and other liberal anti-family causes. But did you know that with just a few minutes of your time, we can screen and clean your investments at no cost to you? It's absolutely complimentary. Just go to the website right now, download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing. It's free as well. You deserve to know the truth as the investor. Then the choice is yours. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you can line up your investments and life savings with your beliefs. We are fiduciary investment advisors. You can feel good about investing with confidence. So learn more now. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com or call me at 931-RETIRED. Your free book is waiting for you. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com and be sure that you listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
Gary, how do you and your team help our listeners avoid probate?
Well, first of all, probate is a process that involves attorneys, judges, and sometimes contesting parties. And so we try to avoid probate at pretty much all costs. The way we do that is setting up living trusts, setting up properly documented wills, putting the property like houses, cars, bank accounts in that trust so that it avoids probate. Probate is only necessary if the estate plan isn't set up quite right. So we help them get it set up right. And mainly that's done through a properly created living trust.
Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs, call or click to request your free initial consultation. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Who will you trust with the biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecus and the Pecus Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecus has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecus Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecus is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecus.com. That's Ken Pecus, Pecus.com. Or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
Trust. GQlaw.com.
Hey, we got lines open here on The Word on Wealth, 888. So it's 888-344-1170. And so if you give us a call, you can be on the air with me and my friend Ken Pecus. Ken is our real estate expert here on The Word on Wealth, and he's here with us every Wednesday. So that's why we got him up today, right to the top of the hour. We got lines open, 888-344-1170. La Mesa, it's interesting. We're talking about Lake Helix specifically, which is very interesting because, I mean, as you know, I've been around, I was around La Mesa a lot, and Lake Helix was, now it's kind of an old community, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they're now, remodeling and just like another community here. Absolutely. That's exactly what's going on there.
Yeah. So it's
it's newer than the 1950s.
Because we used to go up there. I mean, this is really funny because it's just up Lemon Avenue. We would ride our bikes up Lemon Avenue. We go to it was the Helix Pond. I mean, literally it was like a little pond swampy thing. And we'd go in there and we'd get, tadpoles and use our little microscopes to see what was growing in there. And then all of a sudden it was like, keep out. And they just built it out so that it was a lot bigger and deeper because it's a natural pond. And then they built houses around it. And one of the first houses was Robert Payne, who was the one of the owners at that time of he was the vice president of Food Maker Corporation, which is what Jack in the Box is owned by. And his company he owned the Jolly Ox in Mission Valley and Tortilla Flats in Mission Valley and one other restaurant. And his 3 restaurants were just bought out by Food Maker, and Food Maker made him a vice president. So then he had the money to go to Lake Helix, and the property I remember going up there just like going, dude, there's a gate here. So
that's just the way I was. It's like, wow, there's a gate.
There's a gate.
You know,
It's wild.
I
can't
just
even
drove
go.
by Food Maker too. I'm a Jack in the Box junkie, so I just went by Food Maker. So hey, there you go. It all started in Lake Helix almost.
Funny. So
I love it. Well, couple things about La Mesa. People are thinking about buying La Mesa. There's, if you want to kind of look at it, it's got the coolest little downtown. It's full of wonderful restaurants and shops. It's totally old school. It's like North Park. It's like Hillcrest. It's like University Heights. But it's got such a wonderful community there, and they have events just like all the other, like Little Italy does. The biggest one was, I think, last weekend with the Oktoberfest.
mhm.
They have like 200,000 people that go to the La Mesa Oktoberfest, and so that's a pretty cool thing. The other thing is they have the trolley, and so transportation is pretty excellent because they have a trolley stop right in the center. And so if you're somebody that needs, that you want to use mass transportation, or like you just don't want to deal with downtown parking, if you're working in one of the office buildings, you could literally live in La Mesa, hop on the trolley and be in the middle of downtown, and you never have to deal with parking with just a little bit of early planning, in terms of, the trolley right there, which you'd probably spend anyway on the freeway or in the parking garages or looking for stuff. So I'm a big fan of La Mesa. The pricing is the pricing is very much, if you're going to look at a house, probably in the high hundreds to like 700,000-800,000 for the starter houses to it goes up a couple million depending upon where in Mount Helix. And when you're on Mount Helix, you get big. You traditionally get big lots and backsides on the other side to Casa de Oro, which is technically not La Mesa, but it all kind of feels the same. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So so La Mesa is, I think it's a great opportunity for people that are just looking for that nice small town feel, a little more reasonable in pricing than you get, 10 minutes west in, say, North Park or Kensington or whatever, and still have all the benefits of having the neighborhood experience. It's just a wonderful thing. So there's my pitch for La Mesa. They can send me my check in the mail. How's that?
Yes, they should definitely. Now that the swell of the Oktoberfest is gone, it's funny. It is a fun little town, and I think I love that that you're pointing out these things too, kind of the amenities and availabilities, because people think, well, La Mesa, that's all inland. Well, no, it's right on. You just zoom down 8 and you're at the beach in 10 minutes, and there's a lot more available than you think. Plus, if you're going to go up to Julian from La Mesa, that's only about 35 minutes. So it's a good location. The thing with La Mesa is there's a lot of freeway access there. The 125, 94, the 8, there's just a lot of easy to move around. So interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, very little June bloom.
It's warmer, and it's definitely warmer in there and not bad.
Yeah, the June bloom breaks off much earlier there. So big benefits to that place. But I do plan to do the Chamber of Commerce for all these other places we're going to look at in down the future weeks. So because San Diego's just full of amazing places, and that's what I actually did this morning. This morning, I took somebody who lived in San Diego back in the early '90s and is now relocating after retirement, and really only kind of knew a little bit about it. And I said, there's so much more. And I think we saw like 8 or 9 properties in 6 different neighborhoods. And like every one of them, every neighborhood I went into and every one of the properties, and said, oh, wow, this is awesome. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I just didn't have that. So it's just having people, we get stuck in our own little world. And so this is one way to open people's eyes.
Excellent.
So,
Appreciate that. Nice plug for my my hometown. I moved there when I was 2. That's where I grew up. All right, man. Okay, so that is the lows and high. I mean, there's no condos or manufactured homes or anything in La Mesa because it's all basically built separate homes, right?
yeah, you're gonna probably find some condos that it was just this week that you'll probably find some condos that close like in the 500s and just a tiny bit outside of La Mesa. Like people there probably still think of themselves as La Mesa. As you start to get a little closer into Casa de Oro, you can find condos that will probably go into the upper fours for like 1 bedroom. So there's price points totally available. I kind of limited it to the formal zip codes, but that are there. But whatever somebody's price point is, it's always worth a shot to look at it. Just all those depends.
Absolutely. Very cool. Cool. All right. Okay.
So the world.
And one thing this is kind of a little ad is the thing in La Mesa too, is that when you're shopping for houses, a lot of times they're like, I'm looking, for example, the house that I grew up in, and it says 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,901 square feet. I know for a fact it is way bigger than that. It's just that when you get out into La Mesa and all these old homes, people did additions that were unpermitted, but are disclosed, and it's not in the square footage thing, which I always think is pretty cool. It's pretty funny. So
you run into that quite a bit with the older neighborhoods, where because a lot of times property, and this goes for a lot of different properties, a lot of different neighborhoods, not just La Mesa. It goes for it could go for Rolando, it could go for the college area, it could go for North Park, it could go for Claremont. A lot of times homes in these older neighborhoods have become machines for generational wealth too. So they go from one family to the same family passed down at least a generation. And over the course of those 40 years, you inevitably get a lot of add-ons that happen on the property. And then eventually when they do sell again, you get somebody coming in and they do a full remodel on the place. And so it's just a constant gentrification process that happens. And just makes everything so, well, you just said it, interesting, because everything is different. You never know what you're going to uncover when you get in some places.
So true. Love it. Love it. Appreciate that. All right, Ken, I've got a couple questions. I think, let's see, what I wanted to get into, because I have kids that are, recently they're of that age, they got kids and they're buying, some of them have bought homes very recently. I have my son up in Washington that got closed on the house. It was Friday, so they're kind of doing all that stuff. I got a couple questions though, from a standpoint of buying a home, especially something, in fact, like we were talking about in La Mesa. So you're buying a home, it's an older home, and you get these inspection reports. So first of all, the thing goes on the market, they say, okay, this house is going to sell. We'll just say this house is going to sell for, $800,000. And then you think, okay, it's an old house. It has all the numbers about the size and all that. And you start looking into it. And then it may be a home where somebody had passed away there. And so now like nothing has been done for years, or maybe it was just recently scrubbed up, or maybe it was painted and, to kind of make it look better and whatever. But you get these inspection reports. So timing wise, the way I look at it is, it's 800,000, whatever you get into now, back and forth, and you agree, you're in contract now to buy this thing for 800,000, and you get these inspection reports. How much flexibility is there from that point? I get an inspection report and I go, whoa, crack in the slab, subfloor is rotten, there's dry rot here, there's stuff like that. What's my flexibility? What should I be looking for in the inspection report? What should I care about? Should I be pushing people really hard to say, I want everything fixed? Or should I just say, that's okay, I'll take care of it?
Right. I think that's a really, really great question, especially
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Most answer is every deal is different. And so people need to understand the person that they hire as an inspector, right? They're not a party to your contract. They don't know what is going on with your contract. They don't know whether that property was sitting on the market for 10 years, or 10 months, or whether there was
1 minute.
And, there's 9 other people behind you. So the first thing I would tell everybody is if your inspector gives you advice that you should ask the seller for this, or they should fix that, or this is not right and they should do that, you need to just ignore what your inspector says, because they don't know under the deal and the terms that you got the house. I've been a party to many contracts where I've had inspectors step out of their expertise and then tell my client that, oh yeah, you should not go forward. This is expected. The seller should do this and whatever. Absolutely, they need to do this. And absolutely, the seller is not going to do that. They canceled.
10 seconds.
And felt like, well, if the seller's not going to do that, the inspector told me.
All right,
despite
Ken,
whatever I might have
we got to
said.
take a break real quick, and we're going to finish this, and we come back right after the news. You're on the Word on Wealth with Ken Pecus and Gary Quackenbush. We'll be right back.
Need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST.
The latest addition to our team of experts here to serve you and make your financial life just a bit easier. Shane Sletter is our new mortgage and home finance advisor here on the Word on Wealth. Be sure to listen every Tuesday at 2, have your questions ready, and learn how your current home and real estate investments may just be the most important game-changing keys to your financial future and retirement.
Thanks so much, Gary. I'm part of a team and a family serving our San Diego area neighborhoods for decades. We're your neighbors, and we have one goal: to provide financing that will fit your short and long-term financial objectives with outstanding personal service. Learn about what makes us different at SanDiegoMortgageNews.com or call us now at 858-683-1716.
Discover Shane Sletter at Team Sletter at RWM Home Loans at SanDiegoMortgageNews.com. Licensed with the state of California. NMLS ID number 239958. DRE number 01174642.
You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
All right, Ken's number is 619-977-8419. Why would you want to call Ken Pecus? If you are thinking about buying, if you are thinking about selling, you need to have somebody on your team to help you work through that process. Especially now, the buying, home selling process is really complicated. There's not people lining at your door, banging on your door, trying to buy your house. It gets a lot more technical, and you need somebody who's already seen this kind of market over and over, and it's like nothing new. And that's the thing that I always find out with Ken is it's like, have you seen this before? It's like, yeah, this happens. You know, this just happens. We just deal with it. We don't panic and say, oh my gosh, this guy's falling. Here's how you negotiate this market. Here's how you work through it. So luckily we have Ken here. If you have questions for him, call us 888-344-1170. And you can call and ask Ken questions about buying and selling. Just do it now. 888-344-1170. So Ken, on these inspection reports, I see what you're saying. You get an inspection report, you pay whatever, $400 or $500 or more. And then the inspector says, yeah, you should do this, you should do that. But I want to know about, I mean, we get the inspection report. I understand what we're doing. Well, maybe not. It seems like you're getting the inspection report to say, these are all the things that need to be fixed. Are we doing that? Or are we just trying to figure out, well, here's what I'm getting into, and I just want to make sure that, there's no walls falling down.
Right. The most important thing is, here's what I'm getting into, and make sure this is what I want. That's number one. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two is then, okay, let's see what the sellers are willing to negotiate and fix for me. Right. So, and the reason I was emphasizing this so much right now is because even though there's a lower number of sales, these sales are still happening in a very strong market, meaning that from a pricing market. So you have to just be careful, because if we're in an appreciating market and you hold too tight on something that maybe let's just say it's a $3,000 fix, right? $3,000 or $4,000 fix, and you decide not to buy, and you don't have a lot of other stuff to buy, you could have just priced yourself out of another 20, 30, 50,000 with the next house that could come along. So I'm just saying, be cautious about what you think you're going to get the seller to fix. So first and foremost, you see the house, a good inspector is going to try to lay out everything they see. You might think it's a little bit, hey, that's in the noise. If it's a good inspector, they're not going to take anything for granted, and they're going to put it out there just so you're aware of it. As far as most sellers are willing to fix things that are what we call health and safety, right? Mm-hmm. There's a few things that the state mandates, like smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, making sure your water heaters are strapped and braced for earthquakes, things like that. But other than that, you can sell a house in any kind of condition. There's no like zoning or laws or something that prohibits from the sale of a house. If Gary, if you have a half burned out house and you want to sell it to me, I can buy it. I might not be able to get a lender to buy on it. I might have to buy it for cash, but there's nothing that stops you from selling it to me if I agree to the price and you agree to the price, and we can go forward. So a lot of times people get confused with that. And I think it's really important to know that a bank might decide, I'm not going to loan on a property. And so an appraiser might call out. So there's a difference here. Let me just go into that right away. Mm-hmm. So you have inspections, and that's the inspector you pay for. But often the bank, if you're getting a loan, the bank is requiring an appraisal. And if an appraiser comes out there and says, hey, bank, I think this place is worth $800,000, but I got to tell you, I saw signs of a cracked slab or this or that. The bank looks at it and says, hey, that could be something we could get stuck with if we have to foreclose somewhere in the future. You need to fix this before we will lend on it. Okay. So there could be those kind of issues if a property has a lot of problems. And then if you're buying under one of the government financing laws like VA or FHA, their appraisers are looking for something very, very specific. And they have a whole guidance from the government that says you need to check this, everything, from chipping and peeling paint, things like that. And the appraiser could put what they call C conditions on the appraisal, which says, okay, everything's fine, but the bank is not going to lend on it unless you fix these things, because conditions of this government loan is that this cannot exist. So then it comes down to, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Miss Seller, if you don't fix this, I can't go forward on the deal. So it's just a different level of negotiation, and you have to have an open mind and have to understand what type of loan you're going forward with, and you have to understand what kind of competition you had, if any.
Okay, interesting.
That-
All right. That makes a lot of sense because yeah, some inspection reports, I guess they come up with things that are just required. Like if this isn't done, the sale transaction can't even be closed. Are there certain things like that too? Like literally, sorry, we can't even close this deal. I mean, you can pretty much waive anything, right? Can't you waive like termite and safety straps and all that? You can waive that. It's just a matter of whether the lender is going to allow you to waive it. They're not going to lend on it unless there's certain conditions that are met.
Exactly. If you waive something like the water heater things or something like that, what you're doing is you're not waiving it. You're taking responsibility for it as a buyer because the state doesn't allow that to be waived. Okay.
Okay.
And most of the time, people are fairly reasonable. And even if you had 10 offers, nothing stops you from asking. It's not the seller's deal to cancel. It is always the buyer's deal to cancel. The seller can only cancel if the buyer is not performing, and if the seller gives the buyer formal notice and the buyer doesn't perform after that formal notice, then the seller can cancel. But other than that, the seller can't cancel because you asked them for 15 or 20 things. They can just say no, and then you can say whatever. But my recommendation is if you're in a house and you're looking at, and you have a report that has a lot of stuff, it's you win more friends with honey. So don't go down at them with a sledgehammer when just a normal hammer will do. So say, hey, look, we'll take care of this stuff, but could you take care of this, this, and this? Because this stuff is really critical to the house might burn down tomorrow because the electrical is whatever. And, we'll take care of all this other stuff that we see as we came in, but there's no way for us to see this when we were doing the negotiated deal part until we came to the inspection.
Okay.
And just keep open communication, and it works. 99% of the time, it works.
Okay.
90% of the time. Let's not go 99.
Okay. Let's be realistic. Yeah. That makes complete sense. And I appreciate that explanation. So let's go into a situation where, let's say you go into, and we haven't even, you guys, this is free form with Ken and I today because I just have a lot of different questions. I know Ken can answer all of them, whether we want to today or not is yet to be seen. But my question really is, if you get into a situation, like let's say you get the inspection report and you're looking at it going, wow, I didn't know there was, dry rot on the fascia board, and then there's some stuff outside and some of the siding needs to be replaced and all these things, and then there's termite issues. At what point can you say I can cancel the contract because the inspection report came out badly?
You can cancel a contract at any point prior to removing the pertinent contingency that would allow you to cancel. So for instance, if you have a 10-day inspection contingency, it's not just inspection, it's a due diligence, meaning that you're on the contract, you open escrow, you now have 10 days to check out and see whether the house is correct. On day one, you suddenly find out that, oh my gosh, the school, I didn't realize, the elementary
2 minutes.
I drove by the elementary school. It looked beautiful. I actually thought it was going to be fine, but I just went and looked at the school report, and the elementary school is a 4. And I'm sorry, I just don't want to bring my child to a school that has a rated 4. You can pull out of the deal.
Okay.
You can pull out of the deal at any point prior to when that particular contingency has been lifted. We all hear about buyer's remorse. I've had people that pulled out of the deal the next morning because they freaked out. They didn't even put a deposit in, but they pulled out and they canceled the deal. So you can, and quite honestly, I tell my sellers, if I have somebody that pulls out, really early within a day or two or whatever, and they're just not hearing it, whatever. I said it's really great that they pulled out that early, because that means we didn't waste a whole lot of time, and we could find somebody that's really suited for your property.
1 minute.
Sure, we wasted a little bit of time to go through the exercise, but I'd much rather cancel now and find a quality person, a quality buyer that's going to close, than try to convince somebody they stay in a few more days and then they ultimately pull out again for something else.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right, Ken Pecus, we've got Ken's number 619-977-8419. If you're thinking about buying, what I do, I mean, what I did with Ken is I was going to sell a piece of property. I wasn't sure who to use, where to go. I talked to my stepbrother. He says, there's no question, use Ken. We interviewed with Ken to try to see, you know, if it was a fit. And I was nothing but thrilled at how much effort went into it. You're listening to The Word on Wealth with Ken Pecus and Gary Quackenbush. We'll be back in just a moment on The Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com.
So Gary, we've talked a long time about estate administration. So what is that and why is it important?
Estate administration is the distribution part of estate planning. So when someone passes away and they leave money to beneficiaries, the property has to be administered. So it's like taking it from the decedent to the survivor. That's called the estate administration process. So usually you're going to have a successor trustee that's named in the trust. So have no idea what they're doing because they've never done it before. So then they call on GQ Law and we walk them step by step on how to be a successful and good successor trustee. We also do the required notifications. We notify the Department of Health Services and all the legal requirements so that they can have the estate administration done properly. We help successor trustees be successful.
Call or click to request your free consultation. GQlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com.
The Answer San Diego has gone interactive.
About this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com.
All right. So the contact information for Ken that you need to know if you're going to do any real estate transactions, buy or sell, thinking about it, even if you're thinking about putting together your own real estate portfolio, Ken can help you set a plan of getting your portfolio built. Start small, start big, whatever. He's good at this stuff. He's been doing it for decades. 619-977-8419. Ken, I know we've been talking a lot about inspections and you've been answering my questions, and I just really appreciate that. If any listeners want to call, it's 888-344-1170. I have one more question, and this is more like a market update, which I would really like to get from you is like, so what's like this week, kind of what's new in the real estate market, what's happening with mortgage rates, where are they headed, are sales good? And kind of like, this is your Ken Pecus pep talk in the real estate market.
Well, okay, this is a good topic also. because as you know, we now have two wars going on, and all sorts of things threatened across the world. There's a lot of instability. So you got to look at what's actually happening in our own small little world. And truly, we are a small little world, but we're all connected. So a couple of things that are good news, I think, indications of good news for people, or maybe bad news if it's people that think that the market's going to drop. So it depends on who you are. Is that it seems like these treasury bonds that are going, the rates on the treasury bonds, the yields that keep going up and up, it appears that they are having somewhat of a cooling effect on the economy on their own. And the question right now is it because people want higher yields, or is it because people want higher rates to take the higher risk? And the reason I bring that up is because it seems to be affecting the Fed governors, and there's a possibility we might not see an interest rate increase this month, maybe not even next month. We don't know, but definitely it seems to have softened the push to keep raising rates, because the market last week reacted really harshly. If you owned any stock, you probably saw, because the market is emotional. When the jobs report for September came out, and there was 336,000 jobs added, and we just joke about this. I can't believe we're like having any negative thought about adding jobs, but when you're looking at interest rates and you're hoping for a market cool to maybe settle those down, we know those things seem to trigger the Fed. So the market reacted. I think it's chilled out. And I think what's really good is that the Fed governors are looking at it. And I think we're probably going to be a bit stable, at least for the next 30 days, on interest rates. And I think that's important because, every year in and year out, we follow a very seasonal pattern. And so we had a few disruptions during the September 11th. Because that happened on September 11th, and that kind of disrupted and postponed the normal pattern we would have had that fall. And there's been a few other places where there's been a pattern disruption. But for the most part, if you go back 50 years, we have always had a certain thing happen. So now we're in the fall, which I consider to be the second best selling season of the year. The first best selling season tends to always be in March and April, February, March, and April. It's the spring, April, and if you look back 50 years, the price appreciation overall for the month of April and for the month of May has always been by far the highest price appreciations of the year. Like, in many cases, it could gain anywhere from 1% to 2% value just in 1 month. And some of those silly time periods we had in like 2021 and going back to 2004s, we could have even had like a 3 or 4% gain in 1 month just because of the supply demand issue. But overall, March and April have been, and into May, have been when we've had the highest price gains. In the fall, where we are now in October and November and December, we haven't had those high price gains, but what we do have generally is more house sales. And so if you're thinking about buying or selling, buying a house or selling a house, think about these time periods, because what happens in the fall, less people tend to put their houses on the market. Okay. That's just normal. Every year, just less people tend to put their houses on the market until you hit like November, when almost nobody starts putting their house on the market, like at Thanksgiving through December and Christmas. The new inventory goes down to nothing, coming on the market, because people just don't like to sell their house at the holidays. Some people do, but most people don't.
Mm-hmm.
But what doesn't stop is there's always a steady stream of buyers. Okay. And so the steady stream of buyers will continue to buy what's on the market right now. And generally, you come out of the summer with the highest inventory of the year. And as you go into the fall, that inventory starts to go down. And for right now, as far as I can tell on a daily basis, that is exactly happening right now, even with our, very strange overall economy that nobody can pick, the same market trends of the last 50 years are holding or appear to be holding. And that inventory is getting absorbed, at least in San Diego. And here's what's going to happen. We're going to get to Christmas, we're going to get to New Year's, and we're going to turn the corner, and we are going to get the same level of people that do the New Year's resolutions that says, okay, I'm tired of waiting. I'm going to buy it now. I'm going to do whatever. And overnight, the pool of buyers is going to, balloon like it does every year to 3, 4, or 5 times the amount of buyers that were competing. And then what happens then is all of a sudden the inventory that was already low gets eaten up really fast with whatever was there. And new inventory just never can come on fast enough because people just take too long to put their houses on the market. And now you have all these buyers and they absorb up the inventory just as fast as it comes. And that's why every March, April, and May, we have the highest price increases. And it's going to happen again. So if you're thinking about buying in the spring, you're making a big mistake. You should buy in the fall right now. If you're thinking about selling in the fall, or you can wait to sell in the spring, I might give you the reverse. I might tell you, you should really kind of plan to sell, put your house on the market in late January, February, and take advantage of the March, April the seller's market. It happens every year. It's like clockwork. I do my vacations by them.
That's so true. Oh, wow. It's interesting. The way you analyze, it's just so fun. I love it. And I hope you listeners are loving this conversation with Ken too. I don't know of very many real estate experts that just eat this up like Ken does. And I just think it's fun. I mean, I'm just cracking up the whole time. It's like, okay, these are cool numbers. I love data. I love numbers, trends and all that. From as a person that's trying to buy a home, by necessity, we tend to be really kind of short-sighted because it's like, okay, all right, let's just do it. Let's pull the trigger. It's time. Let's buy a home. And it's like, you don't say, okay, we thought about it. Let's buy a home within the next year. It's like, you've been thinking about that already. And now you're saying, okay, let's buy. And now we start looking. And I usually tell people, don't just suddenly decide you're going to look for houses. Find somebody that can be on your team. Get a real estate expert that knows what's going on and can talk to you about communities. And I think that's the biggest help that I've heard from your clients that I've dealt with is the fact that you're getting, okay, well, for this price, what are you kind of looking for? And I'll tell you what communities you can buy in. In that price range, do you actually qualify? Sure, you qualify. Okay, then here's the pockets where you can afford. This is a nice area. How about La Mesa in this area, but not La Mesa at Lake Helix, but you can go here and here. And I think that's kind of what you get when we have a big reach, somebody that's been in town for a long time, and you can see the trends and the development and what's going on. I just think it's really cool. Ken, this has been, we really have about another minute and a half to kind of finish up our show. So I don't know, you've got about 1 minute to kind of wrap it up for us today. So it's all yours.
All right. Well, actually, I was going to tell you, this is for you. Sometimes we don't get calls on the show, but, I get calls after the show. People call me and people send me emails, which is really cool. And I want to keep encouraging people to do that. I just wanted to share one I got from Florida this week.
Nice.
And I haven't even told you about it, and was listening to your show and loves to listen and then listened to us on Wednesday. And has always dreamed about living in San Diego and wanted to actually come back to San Diego because lived here for a short time. And we just had a wonderful conversation and just contacted me because of that. And, I've set up a search to see if we can find the right place.
1 minute.
One house in particular, but it already sold. But we're looking, and I just want to let you know that being able to talk to people that listen in, I love it. So don't hesitate. Just call or email, and even if you're not looking to buy or sell, just if you have questions about real estate, that's my soft spot. Anytime.
That's fun. I love it. Yeah, this is Ken's wheelhouse. This is his soft spot. This is what he loves to do. It's fun. Get involved with Ken and his team at the Pecus Group at eXp Realty. 619-977-8419. You can also email him Ken at kenpecus, Pecus.com. Ken at kenpecus.com. Ken, as always, it's been fabulous. I love Wednesdays because I get to talk to you. Thanks for being here. Talk to you again next Wednesday. Have a great day, man.
Thanks, Gary. You have a good day.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow with Anthony Wright right here on the Word on Wealth.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995, with financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. The information you hear on the Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only. This program discusses general financial and legal topics. Seek legal advice from a competent lawyer for your individual legal needs. The opinions expressed here do not necessarily represent the views of Salem Media Group or its sponsors.